If Apple's first foldable iPhone is about to make its debut, we may have just gotten two of the biggest clues people care about most: what it might look like in real life, and when you might actually be able to buy it. Today we're breaking down two fresh leak stories around the rumored iPhone Ultra, Apple's first foldable iPhone, starting with a possible color leak that points to just two launch finishes, and then moving into the latest supply chain timing signals that suggest a very specific release window in September, with one major analyst still warning the whole thing could slip into the fourth quarter. So, if you're waiting to upgrade this year, especially if you're choosing between the iPhone 18 Pro and the foldable iPhone Ultra, stick around, because the details are starting to stack up fast. Let's start with the color leak. According to a new accessory-based leak shared by leaker Sonny Dixon, we're seeing images of third-party camera bump protectors that are supposedly made to fit the iPhone Ultra's camera area. And the interesting part isn't the accessory itself, it's the finishes. The two colors shown are silver, a very dark blue now. It's important to be clear, these aren't Apple-made parts, and they're not official marketing images. These are third-party accessories that typically get produced early based on supply chain information, CAD files, and factory whispers about dimensions and finishes. But leaks like this can be surprisingly reliable because accessory makers don't want to miss launch day. If they guess wrong, they lose money. If they guess right, they sell out. And Sonny Dixon has a track record with this style of leak, especially when it comes to accessories that accidentally reveal design choices before Apple says a word. So what does this actually tell us? First, it supports the idea that Apple is going with a very tight launch palette for the iPhone Ultra. Instead of 4 or 5 colors, this points to just 2: a clean premium silver and a deep dark blue that's close to what Apple fans might compare to midnight navy or a near black blue. Second, it lines up with an earlier rumor from months back that claimed Apple would offer something like a dark gray or black option, plus a white or light silver option. But now, if this leak is accurate, it looks like Apple may have swapped dark gray for a more distinctive dark blue. And honestly, that would be a very Apple move, because Apple has a long history of using color to separate product tiers. The standard iPhone often gets the playful colors. The Pro line gets more muted, premium, serious finishes. And the Ultra branding, if Apple truly uses it, would likely lean even harder into that luxury. High-end vibe. A silver iPhone Ultra screams flagship. A dark blue iPhone Ultra feels like Apple's way of offering a darker option without going full black, especially if the materials, coatings, or hinge components make black harder to keep looking perfect over time. And with a foldable, durability and wear matter more than ever. Think about it. Foldables have moving parts, hinge friction, and edges that get touched constantly during opening and closing. If Apple has developed a new finish treatment for this device, launching with only 2 colors could be a way to control quality, reduce manufacturing complexity, and keep yields high in the first generation. Now let's connect this to the bigger story, timing, because a foldable iPhone isn't just another iPhone. It's a brand new category for Apple, and launch timing is everything, multiple. Supply chain reports and industry watchers are now pointing to a likely in-stores date around September 18. Here's how people are getting to that date. Apple has a very predictable pattern when it comes to iPhone launches. A keynote event typically happens early in the week. Pre-orders usually open that same week. Devices often ship and hit stores the following Friday. If Apple holds an iPhone event on Wednesday, September 9th, then the math points to pre-orders around September 12 release day, in stores around September 18, and if the keynote slides 1 week later, then the release date would likely shift to September 25. So why are people leaning September 18 right now? Because a Weibo leaker known as Fixed Focus Digital suggested the foldable iPhone project hasn't fallen behind schedule, and that an earlier issue, reportedly related to scaling output during initial manufacturing, has been addressed. The claim is that production line setup was completed at the end of July, which would be right in line with Apple gearing up for a September announcement. Another key argument from tech watchers is simple. If there were a major delay at this stage, we'd typically see far more consistent warning signs across the supply chain, more reports about shortages, production pauses, or missed component targets. Instead, what we're seeing is mixed reporting. Some say it's on track. Some say there are still risk factors. And that brings us to the biggest wildcard. Ming-Chi Kuo is one of the most well-known Apple analysts, and while he's not always perfect, he's influential because his information often comes from supplier-level insights. Kuo's take is more cautious. He suggested Apple could repeat a strategy similar to the iPhone X era. Announce in September, but push actual availability, especially pre-orders, into the fourth quarter. Back in 2017, the iPhone X was revealed alongside other models, but customers waited weeks longer to actually buy it. If Apple does that again for the iPhone Ultra, it could mean the iPhone Ultra gets revealed at the September event, but pre-orders don't open until later, possibly weeks later, and real-world availability might land deeper into Q4, so what could cause that kind of delay? The same things that haunt every foldable launch. Hinge durability testing, folding display yields assembly. Complexity final engineering validation. There have been reports that Foxconn, Apple's key assembly partner, has been doing late-stage mass production adjustments in China. And at least one report has pointed to ongoing engineering validation work tied to the folding display and hinge mechanism, with warnings that the process could still add up to 2 months. And that's the tension right now. On one side, you have signals that production setup is done and the schedule looks normal. On the other side, you have a product category that's notoriously difficult to mass produce at Apple scale, especially if Apple is aiming for a near-invisible crease, high hinge durability, and the kind of premium feel that makes a foldable worth Apple money. Speaking of money, let's talk price, because if you're budgeting for this upgrade, you need realistic expectations. Multiple rumors place the iPhone Ultra starting somewhere in the $2,300 to $2,500 range. That's not just expensive, it's a full new laptop price bracket. And if those numbers are even close to accurate, Apple has to get the launch right. This can't feel like a first-gen experiment. At that price, the iPhone Ultra has to feel like the most refined foldable on the market. Not just Apple's first attempt. Interestingly, there are also claims Apple asked suppliers to prepare roughly 10 million units for the year, up from earlier chatter around 7 to 8 million. If true, that could suggest Apple is more confident about demand, or at least wants to avoid a scenario where the product is technically available, but impossible to buy for months. Now let's widen the lens for a second. Because the foldable iPhone Ultra isn't launching alone, it's expected to share the stage with the iPhone 18 Pro lineup. And the iPhone 18 Pro is also rumored to be getting new colors. The latest rumors suggest Apple is considering dark cherry, light blue, silver, and there's been back and forth about black. Some reports say black might happen. Others say Apple may have scrapped it. If Apple really gives the iPhone 18 Pro a dark cherry option, that could become the standout bold Pro color of the year. And that makes the foldable iPhone Ultra's rumored two-color strategy even more interesting, because it creates a clear separation. iPhone 18 Pro, more variety, more expression. iPhone Ultra, premium minimalism, silver and deep dark blue only. And that's exactly how you position a Halo product. Now here's the big question. What should you believe right now? Based on how these leaks are shaping up, here's the most reasonable way to look at it. 1. The color leak is plausible. Accessory-based leaks often get colors right when they're close to launch. And silver plus dark blue sounds like an Apple-approved high-end pairing. It also matches the idea of Apple keeping the foldable lineup simple in year 1. 2. September 18th is a strong best-case release target. It fits Apple's calendar perfectly. And the latest timing chatter supports a normal schedule. 3. A Q4 slip is still possible. Foldables are complicated. Even if Apple announces in September, availability could still be staggered, especially if yield rates on the folding display or hinge assembly aren't where Apple needs them to be. So if you're planning your upgrade, the real strategy might be this. If you want a guaranteed upgrade this year, watch the iPhone 18 Pro. If you want the newest category Apple has made in years, be ready for either a September release or a delayed pre-order window. And if you're waiting specifically for the iPhone Ultra in dark blue or silver, start thinking now about which finish you'd choose. Because if Apple only offers 2 colors, those early batches could sell out fast.